Okay, good day and good afternoon to everyone who decided to take the time to join this webinar and who are interested to learn about studying in Sweden. I will introduce myself first. I'm Athena Cartagena. I represent the Swedish Embassy and I work as a communications officer who is also in charge of promoting Swedish advocacy, culture, and education. So my presentation today will be a bit short, so it will just be an overview about how to study and learn in Sweden. So let's start. So just to give you the basics about Sweden, hopefully you already have an idea about the country itself. So just to help you remember it a bit more. So Sweden is the home to the companies such as H&M, Volvo, Spotify, and of course, IKEA. And it's also the country from where the Nobel Prize originated from. And of course, it's also the country where the Swedish music group, global group ABBA is from. So that's Sweden for you. It's home to 10 million humans, 5,000 teacher reserves, and 39 universities. So it's quite a large country for a small population. And if you're in Sweden, then you're always close to nature. So these 39 universities are scattered across the country, but most of them are from the southern part. But there's a good selection of where to study. So that's just an overview map of Sweden. And of these 10 million people living in Sweden, most of them will speak English. So if you are going to Sweden and your main focus is to study there, then I believe you will get by with just learning English. So the courses and programs are all offered in English. Sorry. Learning Swedish is not really a prerequisite just to apply and to universities. But of course, if you're already going to Sweden and you'll take your master's degree there, you'll get assimilated with the culture and your day-to-day life. And definitely you'll be able to pick up some Swedish phrases, Swedish words that are integral to your day-to-day conversations. And for example, if you've already graduated from your master's studies and hope to stay in Sweden for a little bit more before returning home to the Philippines, then definitely spend a bit more time learning Swedish because the work opportunities will go better for you if you know the language, and it will also help you with the networking. So here I go to the main bulk of this presentation, which is studying in Sweden. So the Swedish universities will offer around 100 programs, 100 bachelor's degree programs, and then 1,000 master's degree programs, all taught in English for international students. So there's a wide range of programs and fields of studies and interests to choose from, and you can find all of them at studyinSweden.se. It's quite easy to go to this website and filter out the universities according to your program of interest. So in the 1,000 master's degrees offered in all of these Swedish universities, some of the more popular subjects are focused on sustainability, biotechnology, life sciences, engineering, and human rights. So I believe that there's something that's definitely for you if you want to go and study in Sweden. I would also like to highlight that yes, sustainability and environmental sciences are also quite popular if you're looking to have that as your focus of work and study. Okay, so here I go into the timeline and application process of applying to Swedish universities. So everything is done online, and it's in this website called universityadmissions.se. So with just one application, you can apply to up to 4 master's programs from different universities. The application period would usually start in as early as October or November, because the deadline would be in mid-January, and by April, that's when the universities will release admission results. And also that also gives you time to, process your requirements for visa permits, and the semester starts in August. So that's the overview of the timeline for studying in Sweden. So now I go to the requirements. Of course, a lot of students are curious to know the requirements. So this slide just gives an overview of the usual English tests that are accepted. But of course, you have to double check with your university requirements as well if they have more specific points or tests that they will accept. But in general, the IELTS academic band of 6.5 is the requirement that the universities will follow. And this is something also I get a lot of questions about, especially again for the Filipino students who are inquiring to study in Sweden. So when you go to universityadmissions.se, you can filter the university requirements by country. So for example, if you enter, if you want to look for the requirements for a master's program for the Philippines, if you're coming from the Philippines, then this is what pops up. So the usual minimum requirements are a 5-year bachelor's degree, and as an alternative to that, it could be a 4-year bachelor's degree followed by a 1 to 2-year master's degree. So for us in the Philippines, then the most common is a 4-year bachelor's degree, and we have like supplement that with a master's degree that you've fully earned. Because sometimes at the embassy we get some applications or some inquiries from students who are still like currently pursuing their master's degree here in the Philippines, like they're in the middle of studying it, but they already went ahead and applied to study at a Swedish university. And in those cases, they are usually not accepted because, again, these are the minimum requirements from Filipino students. All right. Then we go to the topic of tuition fees. As far as I know, well, the Swedish university tuition fees are competitive with the rates of the other EU universities. So it would cost around 12,000 euros per year, or around 130,000 Swedish crowns per year. And that will lead me to the topic of scholarships, because we definitely want to have some funds or study for free in Sweden. So for example, you already met all of the you already met the minimum admission requirements and you're already starting to apply to universities, then that's when you can also start to apply for scholarships. For example, these are the Swedish scholarships that are we know of. So there are scholarships from the Swedish Institute. So these are for master students who are pursuing masters in Sweden, of course. And then there are also university scholarships from the individual universities themselves. Okay. So as an example of a Swedish Institute scholarship, there is the SI Scholarship for Global Professionals. So this one we had promoted it this year. This is a scholarship that's open to 42 countries, and they're really looking for young professionals who want to exceed and do more with their field of work. So it's a very competitive scholarship, but we started promoting it again in November last year. And then the applications closed February of this year. And out of the 300 scholarships that were given to the 42 countries, 7 Filipinos were able to be granted the scholarship, and they went to study in Sweden earlier in August this year. So a call for the 2022 scholarships will be revealed soon. And you can just go to si.se for more information about this. Now I go into the portion of like Swedish academic culture and how the classroom and the universities work, to give you an overview. Okay, so the Swedish society is mostly flat, meaning it's non-hierarchical. It's not uncommon for the professors to encourage you to call them by their first names, because the Swedish academy and the academic world there is it's very open, very collaborative, and you're really encouraged to exchange ideas and to have open discussions. And that's why you're also encouraged to question everything, not be afraid to question what you learn and question the thoughts of your instructors or your peers. So that's how it would go. Now I go into the more unique aspects of Swedish living, Swedish lifestyle. So Sweden is a country that is very big on promoting equality, gender equality. Sweden has a feminist foreign policy, and it's the first country in the world to do so. And it's really actively pushing for gender equality and gender equality reforms. So in the screen, you will see some milestones that Sweden has taken to achieve gender equality. And that also leads me to how it's an open society. So it's open and equal, where the members of the LGBT plus community can really be free and thrive as they are in Sweden. And then it's also a country that's really big, again, on environmental sustainability, recycling, and the green way of life. So Sweden aims to be a country, the first fossil-free state, and much of the sustainability focuses on renewable waste, renewable energy, recycling waste, and preserving nature. So those are like the three unique aspects of Sweden and Swedish society, living there. And of course, it's also big on innovation. So I have mentioned a few of these companies earlier, like IKEA, H&M, Volvo, all innovative and leading companies. And Stockholm also produces a lot of startups and unicorns, as you will say. Despite all of this talk about the leading companies and excelling in innovation, the Swedes also prioritize their work-life balance, and it's a good mix of learning and living to the fullest when you're in Sweden. So they are regarded as one of the happiest countries in the world. So that's an overview, I guess, of living and studying in Sweden. For more information or more questions that you may have, I'll answer them after this talk. And then if you go to the Sweden page in the EHF Philippines, I'll also be there to answer questions through the chat box today. But if you wish to learn more about studying in Sweden, in the upcoming days, this is the website that you need to remember. So all of the information is here. So that wraps up my presentation. And again, feel free to visit the EHF Philippines website and go to the Sweden page, because representatives of 4 Swedish universities are there. They're also available to talk to you via the chat box. So we can go now to the questions if there are any. Okay, so may I ask what's the level of difficulty to be accepted as an undergraduate who aims to pursue a course aligned with medicine and medical practices as well as scholarships? Thank you. Well, I think this is a question that can be answered more fully by some university faculty, but as much as I can, this is as much as I can share. Well, you have to abide by the minimum entry requirements that I have mentioned earlier, and then the scholarship also depends, because again, some of the scholarships are really competitive, and the university scholarships will also have their own criteria for the applicants that they want to grant the scholarships to. So definitely, again, I encourage you to go to one of the university booths and then ask your question there. Okay. Thanks to all of the students who are actively listening, and it's very encouraging to see that a lot of you are interested in pursuing your studies in the EU and specifically in Sweden. So I think that's it. So thanks to students tuning in from the Mindanao State University, Silliman University, and Cebu Technological University. Okay, question number 2. Is it possible to work while studying in Sweden? From what I read, in theory, it's possible to work and study in Sweden. But it can be tricky for international students to get a part-time job because you would have to learn Swedish in order to be able to interact to the Swedes and the citizens if you're doing a part-time job there. So it's not really encouraged, but unlike other countries, there's no cap for the number of hours to work part-time. But yeah, it's more challenging, and when you're going to study in Sweden, of course, your focus will definitely be your academics. So yeah, so to recap, it's possible, but not always the easiest thing to do. So that means that a 4-year course is not enough to pursue a master's degree in Sweden. Yeah, going back just to the minimum entry requirements, the 4 years bachelor's degree needs to be followed and supplemented by a 1 to 2 year master's degree. So it's not enough for now. Any scholarships you recommend for those 35 and above? No scholarships come to mind right now, but I don't believe that the scholarships posted has an age limit. So I would recommend that you can visit si.se to regularly to check for the scholarships. And then I think you can also consider the EU Erasmus scholarship that's being promoted throughout this fair for the scholarships. So next is it possible to finish the remainder of my degree in Sweden, or should I start over the 6-year degree? From what I've read, I don't think that would be recommended. It's more the general entry requirements say that you have to finish your degree here already before you can start applying to other Swedish universities. But yes, you can also do a little bit more research and maybe appeal for a specific Swedish university that you want to study in, and see if you can carry over some of your credits. But I don't think that we have come across a case where this has happened. So it's more recommended to just finish your degree here than take master's with your qualifications, with your minimum qualifications already done in the Philippines, and then pursue it in Sweden afterwards. Okay, I think I will type the important websites in the chat box so everyone can also copy and paste them. Yeah, and if I can also promote the students to subscribe and follow our embassy page, where we usually post all of the information about new scholarships or other study opportunities in Sweden. Definitely do that. And there's also a lot of webinars that Study in Sweden host. They also host it regularly. So that's a good opportunity if you're wanting to, research, do more research throughout the year. So, okay. So I think it's okay to sign out now. But again, visit our um, Sweden booth in the EHF page because we can answer to some questions over there via chat. Okay, thank you. I'll sign off now. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.